Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Financial Advisors Workshop. This is a show where we interview some of the greatest financial advisors in America that serve the public and toil away for our clients. Today, we have Marc Horner. He's with Fairhaven Wealth Management. And Marc, you got a great story for us about your tenure at Merrill and then your tenure as an independent. Tell us about that and let us know a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do have to say, Brent, with that intro, talking to some of the greatest financial advisors in the world, I think this is going to be the exception to that. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel with me. So
Oh boy.
the great
Okay.
ones weren't available, so you're stuck with me. But
All right.
but yeah, started Fairhaven Wealth Management January of 2015. So as you and I are recording this, we are approaching our 10-year anniversary, which is still kind of shocking for me to think about. But I spent the first 14 years of my career. This is year 24. But the first 14 years of my career in the wirehouse world. So started at Merrill Lynch, and in those 14 years, grew my practice from 0 to 80 million or so in assets and maybe 40 clients. And 7 years into the ride into independence, we were a team of 20 and crossed $1 billion in assets. So in 14 years in the wire, 0 to 80, and then in half that time in the independent world, crossed the big B. So it's my fundamental thesis when I was looking at the independent world, thinking about making the jump, was that there was more opportunity, however one chooses to define opportunity in the independent world. And I'd say it's quite gratifying to see those numbers to support that thesis.
Nice. Well, good. And you have 500 clients, and you're just right about $1 billion right now. So tell us about how you run things. How is this firm organized? You've got some employee advisors, I believe, and some others.
Yeah. So we've grown basically a third from doing a couple of acquisitions of advisors, books of business, recruiting advisors to join the firm, and then good old fashioned organic, one client at a time, the blocking and tackling that needs to be done. And again, the growth metrics have basically been a third from each of those legs of the stool. So how it is that we've chosen to grow is that we've done acquisitions. I have retained client responsibility for very few of those clients that have come along with those acquisitions. Instead, what we do is we use those acquisitions as a way to attract advisors to the firm, so that they get clients assigned to them from the firm, which is good for everybody. So that's good for the clients. It keeps the advisor to client ratio down. It's good for the advisors because revenue is turned on for them immediately, and business development is probably the hardest part of this business, without a close second. So it solves an important problem for advisors. And then it's good for the firm in being able to go out and do more to grow more. So yeah, so finding things that are good for everybody and then rinsing and repeating and learning from mistakes. That's basically the formula.
Tell us about the acquisitions. What were they like, and where were they? And
Yeah, so it's been five advisor practices that we've over the years that have been acquired, and they've all taken a little bit of some different forms. So there's been a couple where I'd say it's been more of a traditional acquisition, where an advisor might be in their late 60s or early 70s thinking about retirement, and so they want to find a new home for their clients. Another was an advisor that had been in the industry for a little while, was just thinking about a career change. And so again, needed to find a home. And then the fifth was actually, let's see, I think that was 15 years in the making or something like that. So back in the wirehouse world, I would cold call periodically local independent advisors, and the call went something like, my name's Marc Horner. I'm calling from XYZ brokerage house, and I'm interested in learning more about the independent space. Can I come take you to breakfast? with the idea of genuinely learning more about what it is that I didn't know about the independent world. And one of those conversations turned into an acquisition a handful of years later.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So now, and they've all been in the west suburban area of the Chicagoland.
They have. So right, our office is in Wheaton, which for those that don't know is maybe 30 miles straight west of the city, downtown Chicago, and the acquisitions have all been in the western burbs of Chicago. Our clients are focused in greater Chicago with I'd say the usual outliers in our business. We got clients in Colorado, Florida, Arizona, a couple in Hawaii, a couple overseas. But again, it's mostly a Chicago focused practice.
Sure. Okay, great. Now you've created some other fictitious financial advisory firms,
Right.
Bear Brothers and the $1 Million Cup of Coffee financial literacy video series. Tell us about that stuff. That's kind of creative and quirky.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I take both those qualifiers as compliments.
Yeah.
So we started, how all that got started was, again, back in the big firm world, I did a survey with the help of one of my interns, trying to understand how young people in particular could better consume financial literacy information. So we put together a 20-question survey and asked for feedback on a variety of topics. We had over 500 people fill that out. Great information about what people were looking for and what they weren't interested in when it came to financial literacy. There just wasn't much I could do with it in the big firm world because
Right.
the lawyers would kill it instantly and suck all of the fun out of it immediately. So
Right.
I don't know, 6 months, 9 months into my leap into independence, I picked that information back up and decided to go do something with it. And so we started shooting these financial literacy videos just basically for fun. And shame on me, I learned that more than young people like to receive information in short video form, on demand, with a little bit of attempt at a sense of humor. Not being afraid to showcase your personality, that's what the survey feedback had given us. And so took that and then expanded on that with the idea of creating, like you said, a fictional financial advisory firm, which we've done, which is called Bear Brothers Financial Advisors. And we've created 6 commercials that attempt to depict with some humor what life is like in the hallways of some of the big firms out there. And so these scripts are all based on my own personal experiences, and that has resonated big time. Clients find them entertaining, but industry people absolutely love them because they just hit so close to home.
Yeah.
I mean, more examples back to that idea of opportunity, however one chooses to define it, is just everywhere you look in the independent world. So to grow the acquisitions, to recruit advisors to build the team, to shoot your own videos, to try and use humor, I'd say one of the maybe if I could sum up the difference between in my experience, the independent world and the big firm world is you have to reorient your thinking to stop thinking from a perspective of, can I do something? In more of a permission-based environment. The independent world is, because the answer to those questions in the independent world is basically always yes. Can I do something? Yes. It becomes a more interesting question of, well, should we do something? And if so, what form should it take? How should we think about executing it? It's just far more interesting.
Mhm. Excellent. So have you created different portfolios as well? Is that part of the project, or do you use other managers and just create your own models of asset allocation and such?
Yeah. So so nuts and bolts of the business from an investment management perspective, our financial planning software that we use is identical to the software that I had available to me back in the big firm world. So little old Fairhaven Wealth Management is running the exact same Monte Carlo analysis and again planning software that I had at the big firm. We do build our own investment portfolios. So we've got a variety of what we've got 5 different models that we use. One's going to be ETF based, another's going to be more active in both the fixed income and the equity side of the equations. We do benchmark those portfolios against a variety of providers. So it's not just us with a cowboy hat on throwing darts at the board. We do professionally benchmark it, but we do build and manage those models on our own.
Okay. Wow. Good. And what type of models are they? Are they based on dividend capture, relative strength? How do you do it?
Yeah, we try not to be fish chasing shiny objects, and so we try to be disciplined and keep the financial. We choose to have our fun in the marketing and the communication and client events and things like that we do. We're not looking for fun in the investing and in the financial planning side of the business. So we're I'd say pretty disciplined and down the middle in what we do from an investment management perspective. So we are globally diversified, again, have both passive and active strategies, but no, we don't have any crypto portfolios. We don't have any, we're not chasing hot dots.
Okay. Do you do alternatives as well, like real estate? Everything?
We don't. I take that back. We have dipped our toe in the water of alternatives. We do have a private credit fund as part of as one element of the allocation in the fixed income side. But my experience in the industry has been the alternative stuff. There's just a lot more sizzle than there is steak, and yeah. So again, we're not trying to build portfolios that are made for cocktail chatter. It's pretty down the middle.
Okay. Just wondering. Good. Well, good. So then tell us where you're going from here. Now you've been winning a lot of awards, you're getting a lot of recognition. Where do you go from here?
Yeah. So again, coming up on a 10-year anniversary, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about what the next 10 years might look like.
Right.
And I'd forgotten that when I did the original business plan for Fairhaven, I actually put together 10-year projections. And so that was a fun trip down memory lane to go look at the projections and see that the crazy numbers I'd put on the piece of paper actually were north of 10 years later. So yeah, so one option would be what we've been doing has been working. So just keep doing more of the same.
Right.
And it'll probably end up having some element of that. Another option though would be what another way to think about it would be what got you here. Maybe it should be different to take you to your next stop. So we've already started running television commercials in our market here in the western suburbs of Chicago. We're going to do more of that. We've been in negotiations with 2 tax and accounting firms to acquire them to bring in-house tax services to clients, and both of those we had to walk away from in the due diligence process. But there's still other irons in the fire there. So yeah, I think my guess is if we checked in with each other in a couple of years, my guess is that there will be a mix of continuing to do what it is that's worked for us, but then adding in a few other marketing and business development strategies to try and take us to the next level.
Nice. Now, when I asked you, you're telling me about the commercials and everything, but when I asked you what was your differentiator, usually we hear things like, "Oh, we have a better portfolio. We have this or
Right.
that." You told me
Right.
something completely different, Mark.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not the investments. It's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, but our differentiator is our sense of humor. It's our personality. It's our comfort. It's our comfort with being who we are, and interacting with clients in a way where we try not to take ourselves too seriously, while at the same time taking our jobs very, very seriously and our responsibility very seriously. But no, we try to give a client experience that that clients enjoy, and genuinely enjoy. And I think it shows up when we have client events through the course of the year, which we have a bunch of. When we almost always have them here in our office, which we've won some awards for the layout of our office and the design of our office. But we have to kick people out when the event's over. Clients like hanging around. They like stopping by the office just out of the blue to say hi to the team. And so, I think if you can deliver a solid financial planning and investment management and financial advisory experience within the context of a relationship that the clients actually enjoy, you're cooking with gas. You got something.
So does every family have a financial plan?
I wish I could say yes. Not every, but I can't. The answer is no. Not everybody has got a comprehensive financial plan. I'd say the primary reason for that is what I've learned in my experience is not every client is up for the full-blown financial planning experience. And so they tend to gravitate to that over time. But yeah, we're not at 100% right now.
Okay. But you do present that though, and that's at the base of your main practice.
Absolutely. That's far and away our first choice. Our preference is to make sure that we're making decisions within the context of a financial plan. But we're not at 100%.
Right. Now, you've also got a pretty interesting personal life. You're part of the Shannon Rovers.
Right. So that's an Irish bagpipe band here in Chicago.
Shannon Rovers are very famous for all you folks who are not in Chicago. They are the creme de la creme of the Irish community in Chicago. And so you guys wear kilts and you run around and you play with bagpipes and you go to the Irish parades and the Irish society and all that.
Exactly. The band has played for presidents, the mayors, governors, any number of luminaries. And you're right. The band's been around for almost 100 years, and we lead the downtown St. Patrick's Day parade in Chicago. It's a ton of fun. It is a ton of fun. How I got involved with that was my paternal grandfather is an Irish immigrant. He came here from Belfast when he was 19. And I have thought for a little while that it would be a sort of a fun way to participate in my heritage, but I just didn't do anything with that. But I was having a conversation with somebody at a work party and sort of basically so what's going on in your life conversation. And he said, well, I've been taking bagpiping lessons, which you almost never hear in casual conversation. So we traded phone numbers, and 2 weeks later, I'm in some guy's basement on the northwest side of Chicago taking bagpiping lessons, and it ends up being the Shannon Rovers. So I fell backwards into being affiliated with a legendary, as you point out, Brian, a legendary part of the Chicago Irish community.
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, it seems like you got a great vibe. You got a great sense of humor. So tell us how you put this all together, like how you did some acquisitions and all, but how did you get your best relationships? Like your top 5. Think of your top 5. How did you get those folks?
Yeah, the top 5 relationships all were developed over the phone.
Oh, okay.
Everyone. Yeah. So when I started at Merrill, when you go through when I went through the financial advisor training program, I don't know if it's changed since then, but you've got to go out and put up and do some serious business development, and you miss your goals, and it's a couple of months before they walk you out of the office, at 10:30 in the morning. There's no cake parties. We're sorry to see Marc go. It's if you're not performing at the level that they wanted you to perform at, you're done. I'm going to watch you pack your desk and walk you out. It is very cold-blooded. But but what that environment ends up producing is you gotta go out, you gotta be willing to fail, and you gotta have a lot of lines in the water. And so uh, one of the ways that I tried to develop business was, which was the most successful for me, was on the phone. And so uh, good old fashioned cold calls. And that's how I'm thinking of all of these, the top five relationships. That's exactly how they developed. So, so good things can come from the phone. It's not always somebody calling to sell you a new roof.
So some of those phone techniques have changed, of course, with call blocks and call lists, and people don't have home phones anymore and all that kind of jazz. So how has that evolved into the current day?
Yeah. So one of the things that we're using right now for a lead gen solution is there's digital lead gen services out there, and so you got to pay for those. When I
Right.
was 25 years ago, when I was cold calling, you bought a list for $50 or something like that. It was not a big price, and then it was just spending the day with the phone glued to your ears.
Right.
So fast forward 25 years, there are lead gen solutions out there,
Mhm.
and we have just started working with one of those. And so I'd say the jury's out in terms of its productiveness. But I've heard from others in the industry that these can work. Um, but yeah, that's part of, I'd say, our next 10 years. We'll see how that, we'll have to check back in a couple years to see how that's working.
Great. And how are you guys developing? So all the folks that work with you, is there a pattern for how they develop also?
Yeah, so I'd say the advisors around the office are going to be more traditional in terms of the way that they've developed business. So that's going to be networking, centers of influence, accountants and attorneys, uh, targeted targeted referrals from clients. Some clients just on their own making referrals. So around the office, it's in the advisors are doing things in a more traditional way, and then I'm the one that's trying some of the non-traditional stuff. So I suppose I keep people guessing around the office about what's going to be coming next.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. So you mentioned earlier that because most of your clients are in your geographic area in the west suburbs, that oftentimes people come by the office and they actually like to see the team, and that seems a little unusual these days. So a lot of people don't come by the office. Everything's by Zoom and everything else.
Yeah,
Tell us
yeah,
about how does that work?
yeah. So going back to the pandemic, we were what financial services got an exception from having to close, and so laugh though you may at that exception, but financial services was deemed an essential service. So we stayed open throughout the pandemic. I said to our team at that time, you make whatever decision is going to be that's going to be most comfortable for you, and you'll be supported 100%. And so for the first 2 months of the pandemic, people worked remotely, and by June of 2020, we were back full time in the office. People, both the team and clients, really just love the office environment. So we're trying to run with that from a marketing perspective and capitalizing on another competitive advantage, and that is our local presence in the community. So the event sponsorships and the marketing that we do is very much community centric, and we even get walk-in prospect clients from the reputation that we've developed and developing in the community. So I think that's absolutely a takeaway for any independent financial advisory firm, that one of the advantages that us little guys have over the 800-pound gorillas out there is the ability to be physically present in the communities in which we serve. And uh, that won't resonate with everybody, but no marketing strategy does. But that's something that the big guys out on the street just
Mhm.
can't do effectively.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, it sounds like you have a great program. Really great to meet you and get to know your firm. We're coming to the end of our discussion here, Mark, and I just want to see if is there any kind of like general message that you'd like to send to your brethren in the industry? We're going to be seen by about 300 financial advisors and maybe 1,000 over the next year. So you're in an auditorium, you're on the stage. What would you like to tell them all?
Oh, what would I like to tell them all? I don't know. Probably not to be afraid to be yourself. There are there's real power in competitive differentiating uh, leverage in being who you are. Now, we probably all know some people that are floating through our minds right now thinking, yeah, that guy shouldn't show people who he really is. He should continue to be pretending who he's not. But I think in general, those are the exceptions. That sincerity, uh, genuineness, again, not if having a sense of humor is part of who you are, not being afraid to be a little silly even in a very serious career. I think most people would be surprised at the business impact adopting that kind of philosophy might have.
Absolutely. Oh, great. Well, Mark, you're a great inspiration to go from 80 million to a billion in less than 10 years. So it's really great to hear your strategies, your stories. Congratulations on your firm. And thanks for being with us today in Financial Advisor Workshop.
Thank you, Brian. A ton of fun.
Good to be here. That's all for today, everybody. Thank you all for being with us on Financial Advisor Workshop again. We'll be back again with another interview with another great advisor, just like Mark. Thanks, everybody.